A new cycle begins in the ordinary world. We have peaceful amongst thorns and sacrifice. And sacrifice is in reverse. I was looking at these two cards, and it's another number sequence, kind of like what we were seeing in the last reading, because peaceful amongst thorns, that's 26, so an 8, and sacrifice is 7, so counting down. And the figure in the picture is larger in the sacrifice card, so it looks like they're coming closer. And these little circles on the side of the cards, those are moon phases. And we're actually on a waning gibbous moon in Aries right now. And that's when the light bulb went off that it'd be a good place to start another hero's journey reading cycle. As Aries being the first sign, and it got reinforced by the dice roll. I got Aries, Mars, and the 9th house. So maybe something important to learn in this cycle about beginnings, identity, body, could have something to do with health. Hopefully it's learning something good, like something to improve the state of health, maybe. But let's start getting some more cards out and see what we need to know about peaceful amongst thorns and sacrifice. Because another big reason I wanted to start a hero's journey cycle, do those readings for a bit. So we've been caught in this tug of war, in this vibe of trying to suppress that Aquarian energy. And I really want to pull the cart forward just because, I'm tired of it. We get it. You want to suppress this person for reasons unknown. I want to see what is coming for this person. What might be coming down the way, or something to work towards to try and pull that cart forward, pull away from just this stifling, oppressive situation. But in the hero's journey cycle, the ordinary world, that's not a very exciting stage. That's where the whole thing starts. But leading up to the next stage, the call to adventure, there has to be something going on in the ordinary world to prompt that call, even if it's just feeling stifled by the Groundhog Day-ness of it all. So what's going on under the surface here that's causing this progression forward, or to look for a call to answer? These are very yin and yang cards too, because the peaceful amongst thorns, that's a futuristic monk, and then sacrifice, she's very Joan of Arc, and they both have something covering or highlighting one of their eyes, so something important to see maybe beneath the surface. Cigarette, coin in reverse, the clarity of justice in reverse. Seek fairness and impartiality in your decisions. Ensure that all sides of an issue are considered before making a judgment. Strive for balanced and just outcomes in your dealings. And then gift. I'm kind of getting Two-Face from the coin. I have the Detective Tarot, the DC Tarot, out. So it's that biased, stacked coin flip. Something like a loaded decision, right as that clock chimes, that results in a monetary outcome. kind of giving me corruption. I think that's a theme we saw recently. And cigarette. Actually, it looks like there's rose petals in the ashtray. That's interesting. What a juxtaposition. And it looks like a woman in the background, very faded. Kind of giving a lusty vibe. But I was going to say, like a familiarity. Like over familiar. Like being over familiar in business or something. So maybe this growing tired of the ordinary world is growing tired of corruption, which I think many of us are tired of. There's so much of it, just it seems very brazen anymore. So maybe there's something like that going on. But I feel like this is more personal, you know, in the context of a hero's journey, because it would affect a hero, an individual. So what's this over-familiarity about? Because that first two cards are giving me that. The cigarette and the coin. CC? Somebody CC'd on something? Page of Pentacles. It's in reverse. I'm getting kind of a time vibe from that. Like normally that would be the night. But it's like speeding up a message. Intercepting a message? Something? Intercepting coin? Or interfering or intercepting something that influences a material decision. Like an omission of information that results in a lack of clarity and, I don't know, like an asset going to somebody else when it shouldn't. So what about this Page of Pentacles? I can't remember if I said the zodiac sign that I've associated to the ordinary world is Pisces. That's where I started the wheel rotation on that. We've got the Magician and then the Hermit in reverse. Another, I don't think they're exactly a magician. I don't recognize that person. But similar. Looks like somebody using magic. And she's doing, I can't remember her character's name either, but she does have actual powers. So it's kind of giving me like a charlatan and then the real deal. Like somebody who is an actual magician and then somebody who just does tricks. Like Prince of Egypt just came to mind when they're trying to convince the pharaoh that, oh, it's just like a trick of the eye what Moses was doing. So trying to convince someone's that a magician is not who they say they are. It's like the proper reward or something, boon, whatever it happens to be, didn't go to the right person. It's like a competition. Like somebody gets they announce the wrong winner. It's like the wrong name in the envelope or something. And maybe this is something you or whomever's represented by Pisces, something they know, that a gift has made it into the wrong hands. So how did this gift end up in the wrong hands? So I don't think at this point it matters so much what that gift is. I think there will be a point where that matters, but not quite yet. So how did this end up in the wrong hands? Or is it like someone who's being critical of, if you're a tarot reader, a witch, a spiritualist, that you shouldn't have your gifts? I don't know. Maybe they're fundamentalists or something. Don't know how to share a table with people who don't believe like them, think like them. Trying to discredit somebody who's not of the mainstream of some sort. Like, it kind of makes me think of, it's these theatrics and preaching to captive audience that I've seen on social media recently that I don't really care for. That did kind of a topsy-turvy. The child I was meant to be. And sideways. So something in motion. But I've been seeing all that on social media. Like the book signings that people are shaking about. Having time to set their cell phone down, granted. Or the exorcisms, the woman that was gyrating like a snake. Or it's the lady that got banned from like 3 airlines because she was preaching to a captive audience. Like, that's, the world is not your stage. The world is not your audience. But it's that sort of thing. Like, that crowd would look down on someone like me simply for being a witch, not taking even a moment to assess somebody's character while conducting oneself like that. And it's like, just take a look in the mirror at that hypocrisy of just all of that. The proselytizing and such. And then would look down their nose at other people for believing differently. Strange. What about this child I was meant to be? That's another 8. I'll take all those. Why not? Road in reverse. Cult. Ooh. And that, the static, like, move the card to the side, like, right as I said, cult. So maybe they do tricks like that, like they know science, so they can do more effective tricks. There was a Greek, is it Greek? Roman? I can't remember. But really skilled engineer. Did impressive work on one of the temples and all the machines, and they worked with steam and fire and heat, and it was very impressive for the time, like way ahead of their time. We've got spouse and partner, legal proceedings in reverse, and wooded area. It's painting quite the picture. So it's kind of giving abducted child that is now grown. Because that's what I'm getting from Road. And I mean, this is a hero's journey cycle reading, so why not make it fantastical? But it could be something like that. That would definitely disillusion one from the ordinary world if they realized that everyone around them knew that they were, I don't know, adopted or something, but they weren't told. And could be a cult, could be people just acting culty. And I mean, of course, don't make it fit any of this if it doesn't. But it kind of makes me think, like I had asked my therapist a long time ago about this like gnawing wonder that I had of if I was adopted or not. And I guess that's a common wonder of people dealing with childhood trauma and things like that. But there was like more to it. There's no baby picture of me. Like there's a picture of a baby who is not me. It was always tried to be played off that it was, but I don't have black hair and brown eyes. And also the birth story I was told was just like, it didn't make sense. Because I've seen, well, how do I put this? Because I don't have kids of my own. But the story I was told was that when I was born, I looked around with like big blue eyes, just so curious about the world, like not a peep. I have seen enough Grey's Anatomy to know that if a baby's not crying when they're born, that's an emergency. Which I imagine is probably true, because that'd be something, what is the word? Suspending disbelief. You wouldn't be able to do that if you'd like had kids and you'd been in that environment and whatnot. I also don't have blue eyes. It's it's just kind of strange, like, because I can think of perfectly reasonable examples as to why, like, we wouldn't have a picture of me at the hospital. Birth takes a while and they'd be exhausted. That's a pretty easy one. But also, I don't have blue eyes. That, it's like not even trying at that point. Just really strange. But so maybe there have been little subtle things like that in your past for whatever, I don't know, this situation is. It doesn't have to be specifically abducted child, that sort of storyline. It could even be growing up with narcissistic, antagonistic, envious parents, anything like that, that stunts your like emotional growth because you end up being one of the adults in the household, like way too early, parentified, things like that. And that could be just being in an age inappropriate role, what this spouse or partner card is. like the parentification, getting treated like you're the listening ear for adult problems, things that should not even be coming across your desk as a child. And then legal proceedings in reverse. I don't know, those movies that are like that, was it Anastasia? It's always some like underhanded, they swapped babies at the hospital or something, and then ran out into the woods, into the wilderness. That'd be a lot to find out, though. That'd be more than just a little bit wrong in the ordinary world. I'm trying to think back to these pentacles. Maybe the gift. Is it like trying to keep a child from realizing their destiny? Like as if there was some sort of prophecy or something about the kid? Like they're gonna grow up and, I don't know, be a witch or be whatever. Could be religious differences, like trying to separate one from their cultural background in some way. What else about this? It's funny with storytelling how the fantastical mirrors the grounded into reality. We've got Queen of Swords and Five of Cups. And that's a pretty ruthless, and she's actually looking into her reflection. So the mirror. And Five of Cups, that's normally somebody standing by the river grieving. But this is like the Olympic flame in the middle and then 4 cups around it. Maybe that's that call to action, the eventual call to adventure. Because the 4 of Cups is like apathy. But this to me is like the beacons are lit. That's the call in the distance. And it's kind of giving Mulan too. But that reflection is like the adult version of the child they were meant to be. Somebody having that realization that something is severely wrong in their background and turning into the Queen of Swords to avenge the self, essentially. Now, it could be like something that intense. Yeah, it could turn into a warpath pretty easily. But avenging the self, that can be reclaiming the self. And it can sound cliche to be like, oh, the best vengeance is a life well lived. Because if you're really living your best life, it's not vengeance. You're just living at that point. In order to get to that point, though, doing that shadow work, getting into, you gotta feel the feelings, all of that. That's a big foundational, fundamental part of the process to get to that point where you can just move on from the past, where you can just keep looking forward, pull that cart forward. So this whatever's been under the surface in the ordinary world, maybe it's lighting the fire within the self to go from the child to the Queen of Swords to help clear your path forward. So what about this Five of Cups? Because, I mean, after something that intense, found out that everybody besides you knew you were adopted or something, you might need one of those training montages just to blow off the steam. And it could even be, there are a lot of points like that too in trauma work in general that I've found. I'm gonna take all of them. It's a lot of information in that one. But there's a lot of points of anger in trauma work about how you've been done wrong and how you can't get that time back, even if they were to suddenly actually learn the lesson. And yeah, it just wouldn't, there's no magical rewind button, and there's a lot of grief that you can even get frustrated with that, with how much time that takes, even though it's a necessary step of the process to help you move forward. Being able to channel that anger is pretty important. Ten of Cups in reverse, Five of Swords, and the Fool. Yeah, that's not great. So this is like the context for the grief. So Ten of Cups is basically the family that you thought was yours wasn't. Doesn't literally need to be that somebody is adopted and they don't know it. It could be realizing that you're emotionally incompatible with the people that you're related to. For one reason or another. Maybe you've brought up going to family therapy a bunch of times and it just, you didn't get a positive response to that. And sometimes even going to therapy can make things worse. If you're dealing with the type of personality it really likes to pick at people, manipulative and such, they can use that for more manipulation, for more triangulation and such. So it could be facing hard truths about any emotional connections, friends, family, so forth. And a lot of conflict within that. And that looks like, what is it? The Fortress of Solitude in the background, the icy place. So a lot of internal conflict. All those emotions, all the rumination. And then the Fool in reverse. I mean, Harley Quinn is a good character when it comes to talking about trauma, for sure. And how that alters your course, alters your path. And again, a pain point, a big source of anger. All the paths that could have been yours, the maybe needless suffering that you went through, especially if you were supposed to literally have like inheritance or materials or something given to you and they weren't, and you had to suffer unnecessarily as a result of that. Trauma and abuse and all those things, they have a way of blocking paths, and it can feel really dismissive and flippant when the default answer that you get is like, oh, rejection is protection. I mean, sorta, maybe. if you can find meaning, I think that's great. I think it's important to hold space for that grief first before trying to jump to the meaning, skipping steps and all that. But there's a lot of traumas, I would argue all of them, that my life and many others would arguably be better without. Because it's trauma. It's not a lesson. It's in excess of lessons. And what if it's some sort of physical trauma? Like somebody loses a limb or gets a life-altering injury that takes them out of some sort of athletic game or something like that. It's hard to rationalize everything under rejection is protection. What you can do, though, is hold space for the hurt. And that's an important part, I think, of the Queen of Swords. Because all the queens, they have that emotional element. But the Queen of Swords would be like the Three of Swords. The logic over emotion. So what? Talking a lot about new beginnings. Where's the Queen of Swords headed? What's she headed towards? Ooh. Bride in a cage? And anger and chains. Well, that's not great. What's this about? Um, 21, 3, 29. That would be 11. So 2. So 3, 2. Another down progression. Is this like someone coming out of nowhere to try and like contain you via marriage or via a relationship, something like that? So we have been seeing that theme pop up of somebody confessing their feelings and whatnot. That could also be manipulation. Not everything that comes out of everybody's mouth is true. And people will do anything and everything for money. So I don't know if somebody's recovering something that was owed to them, belongs to them, and somebody's trying to secure it through marriage, through love bombing. It looks like these are both in the same moon cycle, actually. Both these cards. It's like a waning crescent. It's the moon I was born under. Waning crescent. And both of these just convey a lack of autonomy to me. It's like somebody trying to impact that. So what is this containment regarding, or attempted containment? Because this is only the first stage of the hero's journey. So I don't know if this is right now or coming up later. This could also be that fighting against the ordinary world. This could be referencing the patriarchy, you know, marriage being a source of control over women. Could be representative of that. It's kind of bringing to mind The Handmaid's Tale, where you kind of had to have a keeper. That Anger in Chains. That's what's making me think of that. Oh, and had I flipped that over like I normally do, it would have been reversed, I think. But the unveiling veil. Remove any illusions or misconceptions. Face the reality of the situation with honesty. Allow yourself to see things clearly without being influenced by biases or emotions. Very Queen of Swords. Yeah, and so the way I picked that up, had I picked it up like I normally do, it would have been in reverse. So something is clearing, an illusion is clearing regarding some sort of confinement, some sort of containment. And a veil, I mean, that's definitely a reference there to a bride lifting the veil. So what about this unveiling veil? It's very redundant, though, the way that that's phrased. Unveiling veil. It's like a... if you put the veil down, the illusion comes up. Like an overlay. Hmm? Footprint. Just one, singular. And it's in reverse. So maybe a handprint. No, that doesn't feel right. There's a loafer. The bottom of that card. Hardwood floor. It's like a footprint. Was it known about? This is like the information that wasn't shared. Like the wrong name in the envelope. So we've got scales in reverse, bottle in reverse, and runaway. Interesting. These are uneven. And it doesn't look like they're on arms that actually move. Like it's a decorative scale. So the impression of justice, like mishandling of evidence or something. And bottle, like this, from a distance this would look like a baby bottle. But it's more like one of those dropper bottles, except there's no dropper in the middle. So maybe it's more like, maybe it's like kitten sized. That's what it looks like. Not that there's really anything for scale in here. It's just what it looks like. It's kind of giving cold case. Like if there was a great span of time in between things, like if we're going with the abducted child storyline, technology would have advanced in that time, and there might be different compounds to identify, I hate this word, fluids with, but like footprints, you know, bloody footprints, you know, you think of that, something that fell in between the floorboards, and then runaway. Runaway. running away because of confines? Like, can't get away from something constrictive? Could be that. Maybe running away because there aren't any other solutions? Aren't being heard? I ran away. I was pretty young. And pretty advanced planning for that age. Like, I don't, what is that age group called? Like preteen-ish. And rather than things that you might expect a kid of that age to have, I had food, water, clothes, hair dye. I was determined on not being found. Not the product of a happy household, but the finger was pointed at me. And what was I supposed to do? Know how to emotionally regulate adults? Get them to sit down and have constructive conversations about our feelings and about the way that we're conducting ourselves? No. That's the way it was handled, though. That parentification. So maybe there's something stifling like that. And the unveiling veil. Because a big problem at the time was I didn't have the same type of vocabulary that I do now. And I shouldn't have had to have. There wasn't anybody around me, it seemed like, safe enough or educated enough to recognize stuff like gaslighting and triangulation and stuff like that. So maybe the footprint, it's like people just aren't seeing the chains, the restrictions, the proverbial chains. So what else about this? I want to know more about that unveiling veil. What's bringing all this forward? Ace of Cups. Emotions. It's the beginning of emotions. Could be the beginning of some sort of therapy, like trauma work. Because you know the ace and then you progress through the rest of the suit. So it could have something to do with that, the beginning of the cycle. And that dice roll, getting back to learning something maybe about identity, beginnings. Because you can rediscover parts of yourself that you've closed off as you go through trauma work. So finding that love for self, where previously there's probably been a wall. So what about this Ace of Cups? But this would be a lot under the surface. Right there at the ordinary world. Heck of a starting point. But we can also go through many hero's journey cycles in our life. But what about this Ace of Cups? 10 of Wands. Oh. So the Devil in reverse. That's what flung itself down. That's Constantine. I think that might be significant in some way. Walks between worlds. And then 10 of Wands, Knight of Wands, and 4 of Swords in reverse. Burden. A lot of burden. Because the 10 of Wands, that's as heavy as the burden gets. That's all the wands. But there's truth in it. Because that's the lasso of truth. So a heavy truth. And the Knight of Wands can be a very passionate, even hot-headed individual. Is this somebody that's trying to, I don't know, press you as you go through this? That's the 4 of Swords, right? Is that clock chimes? They're who is preventing you from getting rest. And that Devil card in reverse. That's kind of giving me getting in touch with your shadow and knowing when to use it, knowing when to let it out. Because the Devil can be contracts, even social contracts, expected ways of behaving. So in reverse, it's like going your own way. That's, you know, saying to hell with how this system that abused me, that kept me confined, kept me chained and angry, who cares what they think about how I'm acting, how I'm reacting to how I was treated? That's their problem. It's like someone poking you with a stick and then getting mad at you for saying, ow. What do you think was going to happen? But abusive people are not exactly rational. They can be very logical. That doesn't mean they're rational. So what? Actually, tell me about the shadow. Maybe the shadow that is beginning to stir that will pull forward to the call to adventure. Oh, wow. Quite the shadow. Envious gluttony. I don't know if this is your shadow or theirs. This could be how maybe you're being labeled. Envious gluttony. Could be a projection. This one's a 9. And maybe that is the final straw for you to let your shadow out. Is like, okay, you want a villain? You're gonna get one. Careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. Because maybe you've tried to be diplomatic. Maybe you've tried to resolve this. And maybe it's time for the anti-hero to come out. Because you can only do so much. Like, are you just supposed to endlessly take the high road if that's not being reciprocated? Like, there's a certain point where you have to change tact. But what about this envious gluttony? Uh-oh. Assassino. But it's in reverse, so it didn't work. That's good. But I mean, people do the craziest things for coin. Did somebody truly try to take possession of an inheritance by, like, the Hamlet way, the Lion King way? That's a knife they've got there, right up to their face. And it's actually pressing on their nose. The backside of it. Weird. It's a weird vibe. And an intense stare. That could also be, I think we recently saw what was it? The like coercive control can lead to self-deletion. Like that can be the intent. So someone trying to burden someone so much that they do their job for them, as it were. Which gross. But what about this not assassination? That could definitely be some envious gluttony over monies. Trying to arrange something like that. And if there's anything that will galvanize someone to becoming an anti-hero, and these landed right on the child I was meant to be, all in reverse. Or sideways, rather. Airplane, cemetery, and rope in reverse. Yeah, that's kind of reinforcing the self-deletion idea. And I can't help but notice the first two are 21 and 12. So 3 and 3. Something about that. Airplane and cemetery. But rope in reverse. That kind of gives me, like faked. If you know what I mean. And that, there's a lot of examples coming up from my own stuff. Like, and it was actually in the last Hero's Journey cycle readings, I think I talked about this. About my doctor being told about an unaliving note that I didn't write. Because I hadn't been in contact with that family member for a year. If I had written one, how would they know? And they were worried about a specific method, and they called out this. That's a little specific. And I hadn't, or had I not looked at my medical record when I did, I wouldn't have even known about that conversation. It was one of those, I had no reason to even look at, I wasn't waiting for a new prescription or anything. But then I found that conversation, worried about this particular method of me unaliving myself, which don't know where that came from. Which is why it worried me so much. Because that's concerning to me. Like, why call out a specific method? Yeah. But airplane and cemetery. Travel. I mean, would that be the plan to travel somewhere? Or be traveling while this was occurring? So it'd be very orchestrated. This is how that's playing out. And I mean, in an ordinary world stage, in the hero's journey, what a setup for the rest of the movie, or the rest of the book, or whatever. I hope nobody's going through anything like that, literally. And I see all the various headlines of things that are definitely happening. It's wild to me. It's like that, what was the one that just came out? The toxic love story? That was wacky. So what about this airplane and cemetery? That I'm really curious about. Airplane and cemetery. That might be too many. No, that's 4. I'll take that. Page of Wands in reverse, Knight of Swords, King of Wands, and 2 of Wands. Last 2 are in reverse. So a bunch of court cards. So it could be a group involved. That's how the last reading ended too, was on all court cards. And the 2 of Wands in reverse. That's like not planning for a journey or planning to get in the way of a journey. It could be plotting an unaliving, right as that clock chimes. Goodness gracious. A Page of Wands. That's the student of ideas. To me, this is like a liar. A Page of Wands. And not a very good liar either, because they're a page. And the Knight of Swords, that's speed. Do something now. And that rushing, that can be used pretty effectively for manipulation. Rushing people into things like, hurry, it's an emergency. King of Wands in reverse. Very manipulative, very creative. The Wands. And a master of it too, being the king. So they're like a master of stopping people's forward movement, which has been this theme that's been coming up. For the Aquarian, or the Aquarian expression. So it seems like whatever's going on in the ordinary world, it's a lot. And it could be the way traumatic things are coming through, just that's the vibe. And those can take so many different forms. And some of the first people that will downplay our experiences with trauma will be ourselves. That it's not as serious as it really is. And there can even be an urge to downplay oneself so that you don't sound crazy. The only reason I have to worry about that is because of the way the system I'm supposed to be able to depend on reacts to me. It's another burden. 10 of Wands. But if anybody in your life is making you feel unsafe for any reason, distance. Distance is just the most effective way to ground yourself, because it doesn't necessarily have to be permanent. I mean, if somebody is plotting your unaliving, I'd recommend that be a permanent parting of ways. Just saying. But if you're at odds and they're doing something to interfere with your money, I mean, that would again be a parting of ways for me. But anything that's making you feel like you need to lean on your shadow, you might want to reconsider your involvement with that. And it might not be the easiest thing to get out immediately, especially if resources have been impacted, somebody's trying to actively affect your forward movement in some way, or breaking the trauma bond. And that's not relating to one another. It's the chemical addiction that gets created by the highs and lows of abusive relationships. That can be really gnarly to actually sever. But it took me actually getting distance from people to really realize how unhealthy the dynamic was. And it was the path forward that actually allowed me to start healing some things. Because one of those cliche sayings that I actually do like is, you can't heal in the environment that you got harmed in. I do believe that. Outlaw Star. This came out recently. The Band of Misfits. So maybe reinforcing that idea that even if you have to go out into that big world alone, there are still people out there for you. I don't know what the probability is that we're actually compatible with the people that we're related to. But I think it's probably lower than what most would estimate, just because it gets fed into us. You know, family is everything, family first. You're family too. If you weren't being put first, that doesn't mean there's nowhere that you will be put first. Could feel really hard right now, though, to be separating from all this sticky, heavy, tar-like energy that's trying to stifle you and hold you back, to find your band of misfits, to find people that you do fit in with. And there's no guarantee how long that's going to take, but staying in place, not taking a risk, fortune favors the bold, that ensures that you'll be staying with what you know harms you, and you won't have an opportunity to find what and who could help you. So overall, I hope this helps. Again, just so many lately that I hope they don't resonate, but if something rang true, I hope you're keeping yourself safe, and I hope you found something helpful. We'll see you next time. Thanks so much.